Hello, guys, and welcome back to Mindful University, a Just My Anxiety podcast, episode 3 with Carly. Carly, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How's the spring semester going?
It's going. School is school though. So I go to Cleveland State University. I'm from St. Joe, Michigan though, so it's a little bit of a drive. Um, but yeah, I do volleyball and track there.
And I hear it's D1.
It is D1, yes.
Okay, wow. Because I initially thought that when it came to D1, since it's such a committed division level, you could only do one sport, but I'm guessing you can do two.
Yeah, so that was actually kind of a crazy experience. I came in only doing volleyball and I met up with the track coach randomly one day in the middle of the school day, like in a hallway. And he was like, why don't you just like see if you're allowed? And so I just went up to my volleyball coach and was like, hey, this is something I was doing in high school. Can I do it here? And they've been really good at working around my schedule with me. So, if you have dreams, you might as well go and get them, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And I think they have two separate seasons and they don't compete in the same season, right?
Correct. So volleyball is in the fall, and then indoor track is in the winter, and then outdoors in the spring. So it worked out really well. Once volleyball's done, I go straight to track, and there's really no mix up.
Right. Okay. And I'm assuming it was like your dream to play Division One, straight out of high school.
Yeah, obviously. Both of my parents played Division 1 athletics at Toledo. My mom was a basketball player. She broke tons of records. Her banner's hanging with her jersey, like it's retired and stuff. My dad was a kicker there. Um, but yeah, so they were little high school sweethearts. They came from St. Joe too, and then they went D1. So it only made sense for me to try and go D1 too, and follow in their footsteps.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got to keep that tradition going. So how would you say like your experience, your athletic experience was in high school prior to, getting ready to get recruited? Basically, how did that process go down?
So I started off as a little dancer. That my mom put me straight into that. So at a very young age, I was dancing and I was doing it competitively. So like we went to nationals in Florida, like all of that stuff. But I was always around older girls doing that. So I was like the youngest one in the troop. And I think that kind of shaped me into being a little bit more mature because I was automatically with older girls. But once I stopped with dance, I think I joined every single type of sport. I was doing swimming, I was doing soccer, volleyball, basketball, all of it. And then I kind of like veered towards more volleyball, basketball, track sort of thing. Um, Once I hit high school, though, I ended up making varsity in all of my sports my freshman year. So I did volleyball, basketball, and track. And I carried that all the way through my high school. So that was a cool experience being able to say that I did all of that. There's not many people that can do that. So that was cool. But I definitely knew that volleyball was my thing. And I wanted to not necessarily follow my parents' footsteps by going basketball route, but like I wanted my own thing. So volleyball quickly became what I was like my main. And the recruiting process was really weird because that was when COVID hit. And so like I wasn't able to visit any schools. I wasn't like everything was online. It was just a crazy time, but I was thankful I got lucky enough to end up at Cleveland State. So
Cool, nice. Yeah, I mean, getting making varsity for multiple sports, that's literally something that, like you said, like only a few can say that they did. I was lucky enough to get only two varsity letters, my junior and senior year in soccer.
okay.
So wow, that's insane. Props to you for that. So okay, so you got recruited to go play Division One. Any like nervousness going into, that summer, then into that fall season?
Oh, so much because uh, there's my little town, you know everybody. Like there's like once you set a precedence for yourself, everyone knows you, right? And going to a college, it's like there's like this whole new population of people that you're gonna have to meet and you're gonna have to engage with. And like I was in a big city now too. So it's not even like just going from being in high school to being in college, but I'm going to being in a big city, add on being an athlete, and you have to perform at a like a Division 1 level with all these girls that have been here for 2 years already. It's like you don't know how to prepare yourself because you don't like you have nothing that has told you how to do it. So it's like you just are almost lost in a way because like you know where you're going, but you don't know how you're gonna get there. Um, I remember we had our first fitness test, right? And everyone was like telling us what the fitness test was. Like you have to do 6 rounds of like sprints back and forth, but you have to hit it in a certain time frame. Um, and, like, you can practice it while you're at home, but, like, you don't really know what it feels like. Every freshman butchered that thing so bad. Like, it was like we weren't hitting it 5 seconds later. Like, it was like, you just need the training to be able to pass it, but going in, you're just so anxious because you don't know what to expect, you know? So, was there anxiety? 100%. Like, there's no way you won't have anxiety with it. It's just how you have to deal with that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Like they say, what comes to like division, basically NCAA schools, like you're the best in the state, in the town, but you're also competing with other people who are also the best. So
Right.
definitely that competition is there. And I know like the nerves can strike and just trying to, try to continue that great performance like you did in high school into the college level.
Mhm.
So how was that like training schedule in the summer for you? Like were you like more so like really on it? Or you kind of were just like, you were doing it, but like, you're like, am I doing it right? Like, am I doing enough?
Yeah.
Like, how did that go?
Yeah. So it was like it was a lot of like, oh well, like I'm gonna go lift like twice a week, maybe like they send out a little schedule of something that you should like follow, like our strength coach does. And a lot of the times, like you don't know what any of this is. Like in high school, we lifted, but it wasn't like we like knew how to lift. It wasn't like we had like a program, like we were following directions on it. It was like, all right, here's the weight room, like do something, you know? So like you're looking at the sheet and you're like, what does this mean? Like I see the word squat, so I'm just gonna do some squats over here and hope that that's right. But so yeah, I would go like twice a week, do some conditioning on the side, but it's not to the point where like in college you're doing it 3 times a week, like you're on a schedule, you have specific percentages that you're supposed to be hitting at certain times. Like it's just so different from what you are about to experience that there's no preparing for that, you know? Like the first week you're brutal, like your body is just in so much pain because there's no way to even prepare yourself.
No, I completely get that. Like, especially when it comes to, it's like basically any, when it comes to when it comes to like tests, doing tests, like they give you like a
Yeah,
study guide and like half of it won't even be on the actual test. Like
right.
you prepare so much that, you're still gonna be left unexpected with all these, challenges.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, all right. So going into your freshman year, apart from the athletics, were you very like keen on like, meeting new people, being in a new environment? Like, how was that experience for you?
I was very like, I want to just start fresh with who I am. Like that's something that's really nice about going to college. That's not a typical like your high school feeds into this program, like college. So I didn't know anyone when I was there. So it was very much like, okay, well, whatever anyone has ever decided who I am, like I get to start fresh and I get to like pretty much just be honest with who I am. Because I think leading up in high school, middle school, I was I wanted to fit in and I didn't want to show too much of myself to people, make people hate me. Like it was very limited of who I am. And so going into college, I was like, no, like if people don't like me, then they're not going to like me. And that's just how it is. Like I need to set it straight and who I am. And so going into college, yeah, I think I was very like, oh, I want to meet new friends, but I want to meet the right people. And so I'm not going to hide the little things that I find important. And I think going in with that mindset was really nice because I think I ended up meeting like one of my best friends now. And if I didn't have that mentality of like, this is who I am, I think I would have shied away from a person like her. So it's like you have to be honest with who you are before you can like really make your core group of people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think like for some people, it can be nerve-wracking to not only are you leaving your town to go to a college, new environment,
Yeah.
um, but it is acceptable to do that because that's basically
Yeah.
what freshman year is about. You know, they not only, they encourage you guys to meet new people, but I think like in your dorms and stuff, like with the whole what they call is the RAs, like they kind of gather you guys to, get to know each other and just see how you make friends.
Right.
How quickly would you say did you like make that best friend?
Oh, it took me a full semester.
Okay.
Full semester. And it wasn't even like once we met, it wasn't even like we were best friends right away. Like it took time. Like we had to put some effort into it and yeah, she is a character. So you have to kind of like warm up to each other. You have to let yourself accumulate. How do you say that word?
Accumulate?
Yes, accumulate. Um, you have to let yourself accumulate to the other people and their personalities to like really mesh with people. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And I'm assuming like once like you went to your sport, you already like basically made friends there.
Yeah.
'Cause you love,
Yeah.
obviously you love playing volleyball.
Right.
Um, but how would you say like when did this mental barrier come upon you during your college, both from the start of your college freshman year? Like was it freshman year, later on? How was that?
So I have had mental, I'm gonna quote it, issues since like freshman year of high school. So I definitely came in already like with those kind of mental barriers. And then once you hit college, you're like, crap, like this is tough, like I'm a homebody, I'm away from my family, my mom is my person, so it's like you're away from everyone, you're experiencing all new things, you're on a team with all these new girls that you're worried about, are they gonna like you? Are they gonna like how you play? Are they gonna like are your coaches going to play you? Like there's so many things that you're just constantly worrying about, and it can just drive you into the ground like every single time. And I think at that point it's really important to focus on yourself. And I know that's so hard because you're coming in and you're focusing on every little thing, but it's like if you don't focus on yourself, you can't focus on everything else. So, yeah, definitely a mental barrier from the very start, but it's something that you have to work through. Otherwise, like you're not going to make it. And that's just like, I'm not even gonna say that in like a brutal way, but like you have to do it for yourself to improve.
Right. And what would you say, what would be like some like certain mental barriers that you had during this time?
So I would say I compare myself a lot. So one of the main things is coming into college, you're with now all of your teammates and they all look a certain way, like they have been lifting weights for so long and they're super fit and they're this and they're that and you're like, "Wait, but like I'm not." Or I am, but it's just different. And I think coming into college and even just being in college, like you are constantly comparing yourself to others. And that's something like I'm still going through. That's not even something I was able to work through. Like I'm still going through that and like my comparing is my downfall because you're just never gonna be like someone else. But yeah, that's a big one. Another one would just be like taking things so personally in your head. Like a coach can make a comment and be like, "Oh, well, you need to do this," and you're like, "Oh, well, he thinks I suck." So, like, it's definitely how you like interpret things, how you process things. Like, there's so many little things that can tear at you all the time.
Yeah, yeah, almost similar to like basically imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, no, that's definitely very common as far as like comparing yourself to others and kind of like asking yourself why am I not like him or her? So yeah, I definitely can relate to that. Especially in sports, like you obviously want to be your tip top, and you want to, you want there to, you want that competition. I think in sport, in general, in sports, you always want to be the best. So what would you say, like, what are things that you, or strategies, cope mechanisms that you use to kind of like make yourself feel much better, more relief?
I would say I like to focus on the things that I think I'm good at. So there, like, obviously you're gonna say, oh, well, I don't look like this, I don't look like this, like I'm not good at this, but I need to realize and focus on the things that I know that I am good at. And that could be something like how I set a ball, or it could also be like how I treat others. Like you need to focus on like the little things. So like, oh, I made so and so smile today. And that's something I'm going to focus on. So when I'm having all of these self-doubts and these like self-deprecating comments in my head, I'm like, oh, but this person thought I was funny. She laughed, you know?
Mhm.
And even like the smallest little comment like that in your head can just change the whole direction of where you're going. So like if I'm on a downward spiral and I do that, then I stop the spiral. I might flatline for a little bit, but at least I stopped the spiral from going down farther. So, yeah, definitely just changing your just sneaking in a positive thought every once in a while, even if it's not overly positive, but if you have just something that can stop yourself from going even further down, then yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I know when it comes to like hearing other people's opinions, like that can I know I understand how you can like think about it all day and be
Yeah.
like, why they say that, why I say that. But certainly I know when it comes to getting those types of opinions, then you begin to kind of think that, all right, everyone's opinion's like that about me, which is not
Right.
necessarily true.
Right.
And I think the fact that each of us obviously aren't the same person, we don't have the same abilities, we're different, every single
Mm,
one of us, but we're unique. And of course, that comes to just making ourselves better. Obviously, when it comes to like trying to obviously be a better you, you want to look and see, okay, what can I work on that will make me not only make me feel better, but improve myself, whether it be in sport, personally. And I think that is one thing, once you're able to do that and focus on that, you just
mhm.
genuinely, spike up those dopamine chemicals and
Right.
feel much, much better. I mean, relating to my experience, like in soccer, there was times in when I played college where I wouldn't play. And I necessarily didn't see that as like a thing where I'm like, okay, I guess, I'm not playing, so I should just remain the same, train the same. No, I want to probably train harder, probably focus more on what my abilities are, what can I work on, and stuff like that. I think that is like the mental block there, and it really just takes the moment to just really kind of settle down and focus, because there are thoughts that come in your head saying, okay, no, you're not the best, you're not going to do any better. Kind of block that out for a second and just like focus, boom, 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 work on this. And then it turns out to be much, much better feeling for you. And then obviously, you improve.
Right.
Would you say that only happened to yourself like during athletics or also outside athletics?
Outside of athletics all the time. I think stuff like that where you're constantly just in a mental battle with yourself. You always want to improve. It could be like in class. Like if I am not doing good in a class, I'm obviously gonna study harder. I'm gonna train harder, like try to figure out a way to pass class and with a better grade. I think a lot of times athletes grow up to be perfectionists too. It's kind of just built into like, oh, you want to be the best, so I have to be perfect. Um, but yeah, that takes over your entire life, even if it's not just athletics. I mean, like I want to be the perfect daughter, I want to be the perfect sister, like all of that kind of stuff. It's just like constant battle. But I think the way that you can apply yourself and fix not necessarily fix, but like better those problems is the same. Even in athletics and outside of athletics, the way that you fix it is by fixing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And being in the part of the school playing athletics, were you guys like are you guys offered any like mental health support by the team?
So we've actually gotten a lot better this last year. I don't know. Did you guys do a thing called SAC? at your school in college?
I don't think so, no. So I graduated college back in 2019, so it was a long time, but go ahead.
Okay. So SAC is Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and it has like it's like all of athletes that can join it, but it has like we have like a president, we have an social events officer, we have all of these different types of officers. But I decided to go up for the mental health and development officer this year, and we've made some progress. So we have had a speaker come in and talk to us about her journey, and um, we have gotten a athletic counselor on campus now. So that is a huge improvement for us. We've never had that. So um, we are making little baby steps in getting people more known to mental health and accepting of it, because I think also it's also has just a precedence of like, oh, mental health is bad, we don't talk about it. And it's definitely something that we need to talk about, because if we don't, then we're just going to keep losing people, unfortunately. So we just got to bring more knowledge to it and let people know that there's things that you can do to fix it and help it. And yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. You pretty much said it right on. When it comes to mental health, anxiety, it's nothing that, we should shy away from or run away from. We all go through things and, we're not programmed to know everything and deal and know how to like find a solution to everything. And that's why we seek support. And I
Right.
think that having that athletic counselor is a huge benefit, not only for the teammate, your teammates, but also the team itself. Because, once you're able to kind of find a solution and help that athlete, it will better their performance. And obviously, definitely benefit the team in results when it comes to their own performance. Um, awesome. So is that something that's like available like whenever they need it or certain
Yep.
hours and stuff? Yeah.
Yep, so she is going to be on campus 20 like during the school day, and then we will all have her number as well out of school hours. So that's a lot of athletes for her. I feel for her, but when it's something you love, you do it wholeheartedly. So she was willing to give us her number, which is cool. But yeah, we'll have access to her at all times of the day.
That's great. You have number right there, and pretty much whenever you need to call her or text her, she's there. That's awesome. How would you say like the environment is between your teammates?
I would say we are a pretty close-knit group. Um, Definitely like relating it to mental health. They're the first people to know when something's wrong, when something is not mentally right. I mean, you can see it written all over our faces. And although like the coaches might be oblivious to this kind of stuff, it's like they're the first people to know. And a lot of times you live with them. So I go home with two of my roommates, they play on the same team as me, and they can see how I act outside of volleyball. And I think building that relationship outside of volleyball has been one of the key things for our team, is like having a relationship outside and bringing it in. You're just so much closer and you know each other on a different level outside of volleyball. So, um, yeah, like being able to encourage each other during practices, and like personalized encouragement, not just like, hey, you got this, but like, hey, like I know what's going on, like let's work on this, and like know how to help each other on that level. It just creates a whole new game in the end. So
Yeah, no, that's great that you guys are close with each other. I know some teams and from schools like kind of have like their cliques, so they're kind of like to themselves. But no, that's great. I think when it comes to the support of your teammates, you guys, are genuinely a team. So, you're there for each other. Would you say the same thing goes for the track?
so track is a little bit different just because there's such different events. So, like distance, they practice at 6 a.m. They they go on their long runs. They do 14-hour miles, not hour, 14 miles a day. Um, and then the throwers practice at 4 p.m. So, would I say like we are close in how we interact in our little groups. So kind of like a clique, but when we're all together, we get along well. Like it's not like there's like awkwardness between us. It's just like if I am upset, I'm gonna go to them. I'm not gonna go to the distance or the sprinters or it's just who you're around so much that it just makes sense.
Okay. And how would you say like that schedule is now that you're in the spring season for track?
Oh, it's definitely a different schedule because we do still sometimes have to get up at 6 a.m. with them and have like lift and that kind of stuff, which is too early for me. I like to sleep in. But yeah, no, the training times and the level of training, it's just being volleyball versus track, like they are just so different in every way, shape, or form. Like it's like track is an hour because you can't overthrow, like you can't underthrow, like it's very like strategic. Whereas like volleyball, you're like, let's just get in a gym, let's hit some balls, like let's just do stuff for 2.5, 3 hours a day, you know? So it's very different schedules, which makes it nice. Like I have a little bit more time on my own now.
Yeah. But yeah, I can imagine Division 1, like I mean, for me, I played Division 3 and that was a hectic schedule for me. So I can imagine it's probably three times much more for D1. Um, but like how like fitting that, athletics into your social life in college, like is there any like do you have like little to no downtime or how's that go?
I think it all does come down to time management. There's definitely time built in that you can have on your own. Like if you are good at scheduling and planning out your day, like you always find time that you can have downtime. But I guess it just does come down to like how you plan out. And I'm a big planner, which is why I think I've been able to do two sports in college, like and still have downtime. Like I think it does just come down to how you plan out your life and like downtime, social life. I spend a lot of time with my friends. So it's definitely still possible. You're not missing out on a college experience. It's just a different college experience, you know, like you're doing everything and you're doing so much more at the same time. It's just different.
Okay, cool, cool. And obviously going to college, like the fact that you're obviously going to be much more independent, you're living basically on your own, with your roommates. Was there ever like a major like hit for you when you made that transition?
Yeah, I like I said, I'm a big homebody. So it took maybe a month and I was crying every night. Like I wanted to come home so bad. I missed my family. That was during like 2 days. Like we were training every single day. There was no time for me to come home. And like I said, it's a 4 hour drive. So I didn't see my family for a month. And that was the longest time I've ever been away from any of them. So yeah, you do get hit and it's like, ouch, like that sucks. Like these were my people and now I don't get to see them ever. And that could be family, but that could also be friends from home. Like you just don't see them and then you're so scared of losing that relationship and everything is just changing at the same time and it's a hard adjustment for sure.
hmm Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what would you do whenever like you'd feel that way, like like kind of missing home, missing friends?
Yeah, my mom and I call each other every night and talk on the phone for maybe an hour. So, um, we kind of got into that schedule right around that time when I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like this is too hard. But yeah, every single night when we're in bed, we call each other and my dad is snoring next to us. But yeah, that's definitely the way that I would say to go is to just call and appreciate the time that you do get to talk because although it's over the phone, at least you're getting to talk, you know, like back in the day, they wouldn't have been able to do that. So
Oh, that's great. Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. How about like with friends back home, same thing? Like
yeah. Um, I have had a couple of friends make the drive up to like games and stuff, so that's been cool. Um, a lot of my friends came from athletics though, so they have gone on and played their own sport or done whatever they do. So one of my friends was in the same conference as me. She's recently transferred out to another school, but she was, and so every time we were at each other's like school, we would always like see each other. But a lot of times when we were at like a third school, we would both be there for our sports because she did soccer. So she would be there for a soccer game, I'd be there for a volleyball game, and we'd just be like passing each other in the hall. And it's like, how are we seeing each other here? We're in a different state right now. But yeah, no, it's cool to like get to support your friends from home and like see what they're doing in life, even though you're off doing your own thing.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Because I basically would do the same thing. I don't know if you ever heard this it doesn't exist anymore. It's like Zoom, but it's called Uvu. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So when my friend who went to school up in Boston, we would pretty much like basically video chat like I want to say like 3 times a week.
Mhm.
And I mean it was cool, just not only talking with him, but like kind of basically him like telling me how's Boston, how's school for him, and just staying close, really. And
Right.
I think like that genuine connection with your friends back home, like it still continue on. It's for me, it continues after college, and just like you're basically all back home now, and you kind of going back to how it was before you guys even went to college.
Right.
So
And I think guys also do a lot of like video games. So I think that's always a good way of staying in touch with your friends. I know my older brother, he's off at college now, but he still plays video games with the kids that he's been playing with for years. And it's like that's just an easy way. Like I know girls talk about how awful video games are, but it's their way of communicating. Like I see and I understand go video games.
yeah, definitely. But I guess lastly to kind of end it off, just going into a situation where let's say we have a incoming freshman doing obviously Division One athletics, and same thing like mental health like blockage here and there in their past and currently going through. What advice would you give him, going into obviously the next fall season for them? Let's say they're playing volleyball and they're trying to see what are their options.
I would say just soak it all in. Like I know it's so easy to just get caught up in everything and just immediately go to overthinking and like just allow yourself the grace period of just soaking everything in because it is a huge adjustment. And if you try to force yourself too quick, you're gonna just fall. Like you're gonna break at some point. So definitely like I would say like give yourself a month to just soak everything in, allow everything to happen the way that it's happening before you really start getting into, "Oh, okay, so this is what I want, this is how I'm doing it, but like this is just so different, like just allow yourself that time to just take it.
Yeah, awesome. Well said. So going into your social media from where I found your content, just can you give a quick like explanation of basically what your content's about?
Yeah, so my main thing is on TikTok. I do a lot about kind of just like living as a D1 athlete, but I also like to show my mental health and show that it's not all sunshine and rainbows and you're not just gonna have a good day every single day. And I think it's really important for people to see that I think a lot of times people see D1 athletes and they're like, oh, well, their life is perfect, but it's not. And there's so many battles that you're going through, and that's something that I wanted to kind of capitalize on. So, um, my TikTok is just my name. It's Carly Claire. If you guys want to go see that. But yeah, it's just the day of a life in the life of a D1 athlete with mental health issues.
That's awesome. I always like love like seeing other people's day in the life, especially when it comes to athletics, and just knowing like the true
Mhm.
side. What is college athletics about? Like you said, not just sunshine and roses. There's also certain obstacles that they go through. So
Right.
guys, I'm gonna put all information in the description below. So definitely give her a follow and be on the lookout for her content on TikTok. And Carly, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, guys, I'll see you all for the next episode. Take care.